Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we're making this a drinking game, people. So anytime we say anything negative at all about these movies, about each other, about anything, we're going to play the sound. That sound means we're drinking, and we hope you drink along with us.
So, pour yourselves a glass, strap yourselves in, because we're about to head for a cornucopia of internet abuse.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Bring it on, please.
No way around it, yeah.
People, this is...
Watch us get cancelled in real time. Tune in, don't touch that dial.
This is going to be great. So we are going to... Dave and I have seen a film that we can't wait to talk about. And we are going to do our mini review coming up very, very soon. And then after that, it is going to be the first week of our new summer blockbuster bracket. We are so fucking excited. We're so excited to get us kicked off. We're talking about the highest grossing summer movies of 1980, 1981, 1982, and 1983.
Why
and we're
would we
going
do this to ourselves?
Battle them off. We're going to battle them off. And we're going to chop it down to 2 movies to advance to the next round in pursuit of the greatest summer blockbuster of all time. So we're starting with a financial prerequisite to get us in the category. It has to be the highest grossing movie. And then once you're in, and then we're just choosing the best. Then it's just about quality. Jaws and Star Wars 1 have advanced out of the 70s, and we are starting fresh with the 80s. We're so excited to get into that. Any news of this week that anybody wants to get into before Dave and I kind of do our little setup here for our mini-sode?
Do you have any gripes? We haven't had gripes in a week.
Haven't any gripes? Yeah. I got gripes. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I got gripes, motherfucker.
He's ready to complain. Let me check my crystal ball. I
just want to start quickly while he's looking for that with my little gripe. Last week, I went and saw a movie at Times Square AMC, and dude, not only did to be honest, at this point, they were doing a great job in there. I forgot my wallet, and they let me in with just a photo of my ID. So good for them. But then I walked into, I booked a ticket in Dolby Cinema, and they have that huge screen. And I sent you guys a picture of this. The huge screen was just blue with input 1 flashing on the fucking top of it. I'm like, dude, I'm here to see Fast X, and you're shortchanging the experience.
Hold on. You got to clarify more for our listeners. Not the huge screen inside the theater, in the hallway, walking into the theater
projection
from the
screen
lobby.
And it's just blue with input 1 sitting there flashing in the top right hand corner. I'm like, oh my God, this isn't even far from they're just...
We've joked about it a lot, but they should probably listen to all of your gripes about
I want to
package it together.
I mean, if they listened to all my gripes in a row, they'd probably burn the fucking thing down, to be honest. But
I mean, you have pointed out quite a few problems.
Guys,
Jeff, hit us with a gripe. What you got, dude? What do you
Wait, I was going to say something about that. I think with the writer's strike and everything, which we shouldn't even call the writer's strike. We should call it...
Are you griping now? Is it what you've started?
No, but don't you think every company just pay people more?
Every company, yes.
If you have somebody on staff that knows how to fix that, and just pay them what they're worth. Come on.
It just boils down to stop and ask yourself, am I being a greedy motherfucker?
Maybe don't pay the executives more, but maybe pay everybody else more.
Can my employees afford the basic tenets of life? And if they can't, you're not running your business properly. Fuck you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, hit it. Can we stop talking about method acting? Can we just stop? Nobody knows what it is anymore, and it's so fucking stupid hearing these conversations. Jeremy Strong was asked, "Are you a method actor?" And he said no. And they were like, "Why not?" He was like, "What? Because I don't talk to my castmates. So I know there's some shit, and I know that Brian Cox stirred some shit up. I don't even know if it wasn't for the drama because he did The Boxer with Daniel Day-Lewis, whatever. But come on, this goes way back to Dustin Hoffman hit a cab that almost hit him. A cab almost hit him, and he slammed on the thing and went, 'I'm walking here,' and everybody went, 'Oh my God, what an actor!' And it's like, yes, he didn't want to be murdered by that cab.
That's not method.
Amazing.
That's improv.
And how is that method? Exactly. And then you get Marlon Brando. No, you're not going to believe this.
You know that cab ran the blockades. That wasn't supposed to be there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so fucking stupid. But good for Dustin. I'm glad you got famous from it. Marlon Brando, you're not going to believe this. One time he was filming a scene and someone dropped a glove. You guys aren't going to fucking believe this, but guess what he did? He picked the glove up and he kept going. What a fucking genius. Oh my God.
That's like something he'd do in real life.
Guys, it's so stupid. And then, you have people like sending condoms and all these stories you hear about. Guys, nobody, you don't know what method acting is. That's not what the method is. None of these things matter. Stop saying somebody's good because their method. Daniel Day-Lewis staying in character is it's the preface. Then once they say action, then he has to act. Him staying in character is not acting. Him acting is when they say action and he does the scene. Him staying in character is just. I always think that's what he wants to do. He wants to eat sandwiches in his weird coats. That's it. That's all it is.
They asked on Smartlist. They asked Joaquin about this recently, and he said, I don't even know what that is. I always joke, and I've said this for years now. The only people who know what method acting is are people who have never acted before. Like it's used so colloquially when they talk about actors who might do something like that, stay in character or do some extreme thing in a take that they didn't do in the previous take. Oh, revolutionary. But honestly, people, just so you know, when you're actually talking to the community of people who does it or works with people who do it, you just sound like an idiot. You just sound like an asshole. Like, just stop using the term. It doesn't make sense anymore. We've never thought of it that way. There's a lot of techniques, and they're all just trying to get to the same thing. So I would second that. Everybody, stop fucking talking about it.
I mean, athletes move to weird, obscure places sometimes to like train. Like basketball players, a lot of times train in like the sand dunes, like that. We don't need to name that. We don't need to have a terminology for that. What did you do this offseason? I moved to Tanzania so I could train in the sand. Oh, you're so method. No,
even Strasbourg and Stanislavski, with these things that they came from, no one actually laid a rule out that what is the tent pole of where this came from. They stay in character. That is not even in the books. That's not even in the teaching for like what they were talking about when they were literally teaching.
It's like it's spoken in hushed tones. It's like, what's cooler, someone who has to stay in character the whole time, or someone who can just turn it on and off like that?
Yeah. Well, it sounds good from a marketing perspective. I get it. Yeah. Everybody thinks it's really sexy and really, weird.
The last of the Mohicans, he lived in the woods. Like, what a selling point. He really lived in the woods. He built a musket or whatever.
The Revenant. He fought a bear.
He whittled a canoe. Dave, you didn't fight it.
All right, let's fucking go, dude. He fought a bear.
And now we're into our weekly recap. This is Memorial Day weekend 2023. Dave, anything to say?
It's the sort of recap. We're recording this. It's actually for real. We recorded it the whole weekend. We've actually muted John. We've gagged him for speed, and had time for a quick change as well. So we definitely did not record this show in 3 different segments, in case anyone was wondering. So I'm not allowed to say
We're
that.
So professional. We're so professional. We could tie them together. All right. Well, we know we've already recorded the other segment, so we know it's going to be a long one. So quickly,
yes, it is going to be a long one.
What do you got from your box office numbers for this week, Memorial Day weekend?
Well, we had a few releases in the first week. Little Mermaid came out, obviously. Yep. And it's been split down the middle with the reception for that one. The Machine came out from Sony Pictures, which is a comedy, one of those really ridiculous comedies, it looks like. I actually am a little bit intrigued because they're like my secret passion. So I may end up seeing this by the end of the weekend.
Wow.
It's not doing too bad. Little Mermaid just today pulled in 38 mil, and it's up against it. It pulled in 2.2 mil. So it's not doing too bad.
Okay. All right. Buzz, just get the fuck out, Buzz. Well, yeah, I have here that The Little Mermaid's going to hit 130 or so over the 4-day weekend. That's pretty good. I mean, it's got mixed reviews, and Fast X is going to cross the $500 million mark over its 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, that's globally, so that's pretty good.
Fast X pulled in and put in another 6.3 to just today, but it had a like a 78% drop off, which is weird because it's a really good movie.
It's pretty big. It's a pretty big drop off for them. Yeah.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, like, 5 of the 5 new releases that came out this week. Like Little Mermaid, The Machine, About My Father, Kandahar, and You Hurt My Feelings are all in the top 10 of gross today.
That's good.
Yeah.
But I mean, this weekend's all about Succession, Dave. The finale of Succession is coming out
gone to the movies.
Sunday.
They're praising themselves.
Sunday. Well, holiday weekends are tricky, but I guess there's a lot of kids and a lot of people need things to do. So 130 for a holiday weekend is pretty great for Little Mermaid. So kudos to them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Killers of the Flower Moon premiered.
What were they predicting for Mermaid?
I think that's about right. I think it was like it was predicted because it's a 4-day thing, so it kind of changes the way you usually think of weekends because of the holiday. Not that a million people go to the movies on Monday, but yeah, especially with like the Thursday night, this is basically almost like a full week condensed. But they were expecting. I mean, it's got a $250 million budget, so they were sort of banking on it making 100. But then you got Cannes, so Flowers of the Killer Moon, Scorsese, that premiered out of contention, so it's not in the contest, but obviously a lot of buzz about that, really high reviews. And the Palme d'Or went to a woman for the 3rd time ever. Only the 3rd time behind Jane Campion and the Titan director, Julia Ducournau, won this year. So there you go.
Was it for Titan?
No, not this year. Not this year. It's for a movie called... Dave, it's for a movie called Anatomy. It's car fuckers. It's from a movie called Anatomy of a Fall, which is directed by Justine Triet, which I think is in French. I can't remember. Anyway, but really, okay, let's finish up with some strike news. We want to keep it tight so we can get into the things. Because a lot of this is about strike. And I think the thing to be clear about where we're at with the strikes is that people keep saying the Writers Guild strike, the Writers Guild strike. Also, you got to love David Zaslav getting booed at Boston. He apparently made $200 million over the past 2 years with bonuses and mergers and all this stuff that he got.
And then released Max and ditched the fucking titles of director and writer and just lumped them all under a creator's headline. Apparently they didn't know. That's the story they're going with. They didn't know, and it's gonna be fixed. Like it was like 12 hours before it was discovered, and they were like, "Yeah, we're fixing that. Sorry about that."
And I love how he said one of his exact quotes, and this went semi-viral, so forgive me if you've already heard this, folks. But he said, "You have to listen to people you don't agree with." Was in his speech. And it was like, well, what about the writers that are overdrafting their card accounts even though they're nominated for Emmys? So anyway, crazy time. Julia Louis-Dreyfus has come out representing SAG-AFTRA, and they've already been voting for the strike, and it's going to happen, people.
Yeah, it looks like it's going.
And DGA as well. Now, Dave, you're not in those guilds yet, although you probably will be, but you are in local one. So I think a lot of people don't really understand unions, but it is possible in theory that the DGA and the SAG-AFTRA avert a strike, even though they're not going to, they're going to fucking strike. But they could, basically they're voting that their representation could strike if it comes to that. Right? Is that right? Is that a good way of framing it?
Which one are you talking about?
Honestly, all of them.
I mean, but like, we're under the banner of IATSE, so we can go and pick it. But yeah, at the moment, the theatrical guilds are not striking.
They're voting.
If SAG goes out, then that will definitely affect some productions in New York.
Yeah. So right now SAG is voting and most members are voting to strike. So what that means is that their representatives or their agents that at the head of SAG, if they wanted to, if they don't strike, they're the ones negotiating. Obviously your average SAG member isn't. So it is possible that SAG and GGA do. And I was just talking to somebody, they're getting really clever with these things, but it's got to be done. So I was talking to somebody that wrapped a show that filmed after the strike started, but the scripts were done. They couldn't change the words. They had to do the pink slips or the pink pieces of paper anytime they tried to change like a single word. It was really contentious, and they knew nobody would cross the line because obviously everybody's working there is in some kind of guild or union. So how about this, Dave? You ready? No call sheets.
Oh,
that's their solution. No call sheets. And I thought it was because they didn't want it to leak. And it's actually because people would show up to wherever they're going to be and protest.
Oh yeah, because the call sheets get out. Yeah.
If the call sheets get out, it has locations. And so no call sheets. In fact, one time they found out where they were filming even without the call sheet and they had to move everything inside before. And it got to the point where the picket was in between the trucks and the sound stage. And so they basically had to film everything with what they already had. Because as soon as they left, they would have to cross the line to go to the truck. And then they, just honor and decency as a member of a sister guild, you won't be able to cross back. So anyway,
that's the thing. We're in the middle as like for local one, because if they pick it outside the theater, we cross because it doesn't fall under like our purview. That contract doesn't fall under it, even for the actors. So it's like a weird fucking time. I almost want SAG to go out just so we can sort this.
It just feels weird. But honestly, with AI and stuff, and usually the DGA leads this because I'm sorry, you can't really make a movie without a director. You could try without a script. You could try to do an improv movie, but you need somebody at the helm. The director is the captain of the ship. And the funny thing is, the timing is the DGA is last.
Well, you can't do an improv movie because they sack you and hire Ron Howard to finish it.
Anyway, of course you need everybody. But long story short is like, Guys, the strike is not done anytime soon. It's going to happen all summer. And then the last thing is Comcast is hemorrhaging subscribers. So their solution is to bundle streamers, which I believe sounds just like a fucking cable bundle. They're losing subscribers so fast, they're trying a streaming bundle.
It's funny. Someone actually explained this this week. They went into detail and explained why these companies are having so much trouble, because they buy, it's a business, it's a public company, and they buy a production company. And now the way a production company reports is the losses from the production aren't added to the books until it's all reconciled at the end, including profits that come in from that. So the company doesn't actually show a loss in reporting. But with a public company, you have to report that shit straight away. So from a perspective, it looks like the public company is hammering money because of all these production costs. Like it's hemorrhaging money, and the stock price drops. So that's why everyone's trying to offload these fucking production. Oh yeah, apparently it's all about the stock price. Fuck's sake. Well, and of course you're stuck there. You can't ever make a loss once you got a stock price. Like,
that's why these entertainment companies, they lost $10 billion and they're not losing too much sleep, the executives, because they're like, well, we'll get it back once we get up and running again. And it's like, the fact that we build our whole life around this is really shitty, but oh well.
Yeah.
And anyway. Jennifer Lawrence apparently said, "Doesn't anyone fuck anymore?" in the trailer of a new movie, and it's going semi-viral. So there you go.
Oh yeah. That I've seen that trailer. That actually is slightly interesting.
It's funny, right? Yeah, it looks funny. All right.
It does.
I think
awkward as shit.
It's enough news. I think that's enough news so we get to the rest of our episode. Anything else before we...
No, let's throw to it. Let's dive in.
All right, John, you're welcome back onto the air now. Let's do it, people. It is officially time to get into our
this one's gonna
two face-offs. So we're gonna do two face-offs. The first one we're gonna go in order. So 1980 versus 1981. 1980, of course, is The Empire Strikes Back. 1981 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Man, this is fucking tough now.
This is gonna hurt. This is really gonna hurt.
And then coming up very shortly, the alcohol's starting to hit. We just recorded a mini episode right before this. 1982 is, that I
had a yogurt parfait earlier, guys. I don't have anything on my stomach.
You were gonna shit through the eye of a needle later.
I'm just fucking feeling the alcohol. Sorry, Jeff.
I had a Bavarian pretzel for lunch, which isn't it's pretty absorbent, but it also doesn't have any nutrients. Mustard. Fucking great mustard, but they didn't give us enough.
Get to the point.
They gave us more of this weird ass fucking side that doesn't make any sense, and the mustard was like a quarter full. That ramekin.
Oh, he can't apparently.
Ramekin.
Yes. I can't do it. Okay, and then we're gonna do that great movie to get drunk and talk about, E.T. 1982 highest grossing movie, and then of course Return of the Jedi. E.T. And then, of course, Return of the Jedi. But let's get into it. So in 1980, I should also say, as we segue into this here section, the box office numbers are definitely more accurate the later we go. Early on, I looked at Box Office Mojo, I looked at Wikipedia, I looked at IMDb, and I looked at anywhere that I could, even Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I looked anywhere, and the numbers are different in every fucking site. So it's getting really weird. So I'm gonna say the Wikipedia number, and then a lot of these movies did re-releases. So for those, I'll give the numbers. So
fucking numbers are like re-release and adjusted for inflation and all that bullshit. You never know which one you're getting. So
none of these are adjusted for inflation, fortunately. But The Empire Strikes Back is the second Star Wars movie, as we all know, which apparently had a $17 million budget. Apparently, there's a whole drama behind it. Maybe it'll come out in conversation, but apparently they didn't want to finance it, even though Star Wars was one of the biggest hits of all time. Star Wars, I mean, literally episode 4, like the first Star Wars. So.
Fun fact, I think I mentioned it before, but I saw Star Wars before it had episode 4 on the title.
That's so cool. You're so old, but that's so cool. So then...
Get your cane, Grandpa. When I saw Star Wars, there wasn't episode 4.
But Empire, they wouldn't give them the $30 million budget to go over credits, so they fucking Lucasfilm had to buy some of their own share. Anyway, whatever. It got really fun, but according to Wikipedia, the initial release of The Empire Strikes Back in 1980, which, by the way, this movie came out in, to qualify for our summer list, May 21st, 1980. There was a May 6th premiere at the Dominion Theater, but May 21st, 1980, so right before Memorial Day weekend. We are literally filming this on May 21st, which means that the day we are recording this and filming for our YouTube fans is the, get this, 43rd anniversary of the release of when the Empire Strikes Back. Anyway,
And I'm still older than it.
239.
You guys hear my dog?
Yes.
Yeah.
$239 million at the box office. It ended up making, over time, $538 million from re-releases. And honestly, it's probably way more than that. And then that doesn't
What was
count
your first
marketing
number that
duties.
you said at the box office? I'm just curious.
239 for
So
the
I
initial
and on the
release.
numbers, if anybody's like on the numbers, they have 181.
So I don't know if that's...
it's tough to tell, but the numbers also has, I want to call this out. The numbers has tickets sold. And I thought this was useful information. 67 417 790. So what is that? There's no way that's 67 million tickets. Is no fucking way.
17710. Yes.
And it costs...
that is
digits wise, I know that makes sense, but
67 million tickets sold.
That's how cheap
I mean,
movie tickets were back
It's
then.
like $3
you
and
imagine if you
50
sold
cents.
$7.
If you sold 68 million tickets today, you would say it would be like a $4 billion movie. That is crazy.
That is
Okay,
so
all right,
crazy.
keep going. I just
Other
wanted to
movies
call
that
the
came
ticket
out
sales out.
in 1980, you have Airplane, Stir Crazy, 9 to 5 did not come out during the summer, Any Which Way You Can, Private Benjamin, Smokey and the
Oh my God,
Bandit
there's Any
2
Which Way.
came out,
Smokey
Blue
and the Bandit.
Lagoon, The Blues Brothers, all these movies came out, but obviously The Empire Strikes Back was going to fucking smoke them. So that is on our list. And then this is going to be up against Raiders of the Lost Ark. How great is it?
Jeff,
Perhaps the two best movies of these two great...
Caddyshack came out in 1980, dude. Give it up.
I didn't get down that far on the list. I'm so sorry. You are 100%
Number
right.
16,
Fuck yeah.
July 25th. How fun is that? We
All
love
right.
golf.
1981. Congratulations to Brooks Koepka and Live Golf Tour, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, sorry, you beat Victor Hovland today in the PGA Championships. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh my God.
Again, I get two different numbers on this kind of shit, but the number on Wikipedia is 212, which beats On Golden Pond, which did not come out in the summer, but On Golden Pond's 119 million, and Superman 2, Arthur.
Actually saw that in the drive-in.
No shit. Arthur, Stripes, Cannonball Run, Chariots of Fire. Da, 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 da. Jesus. For Your Eyes Only, The Four Seasons, Time Bandits. All came out in 1981.
Love Time Bandits. Going on the record right now, I fucking love Time Bandits.
All right.
Fucking Body Heat came out in 81.
Everybody
Yeah,
sees Time
the
Bandits.
ticket
Halloween
sales.
2, American Werewolf in London,
The
Endless
ticket
Love,
sales again.
The
American
Great
Werewolf in London
Muppet
is great
Caper,
too.
History of the World Part 1. Come on.
I never saw
So
that.
many great movies. The Raiders of the Lost Ark ticket sales were only 60,584,664. So a 7 million ticket difference. That is, with today's prices, that would be hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars.
You'd have tickets on
7
the
million
internet claiming it
tickets.
flopped.
Oh, yeah. 7
God
million. Yeah.
almighty, dude. That's so good.
All right,
guys,
people.
you don't like it when I type, but I really want to type in the price of a movie ticket back, and I really, really want to know.
Well, let's do it. Let's get into this.
You want me to? You want to hear me type this, or are you going to bitch at me about?
No,
typing
go
this?
ahead. No, go ahead and type it out because we are doing.
Pretty sure it was $7. I was there.
Probably. I bet you if we did some surveys, I think it's cheaper than $7.
Ready?
It's definitely cheaper than $7.
By 1980,
I would guess
movie ticket
$3.25.
Movie prices had dropped to about somewhere between $2.69 and $5.46, depending on where you lived in the country. A big city
Dude,
versus
you guys got it cheap. I was paying way more for that for a ticket in Australia.
Well, we had to send them over an ocean to your fucking.
That's fair. We got them.
Right?
We got them
They
like a year
traveled a long
later
way.
too.
Can you imagine paying $3 to see a blockbuster summer movie? We pay
man.
$21 to $26 to see them in large formats today.
Yeah.
That makes me want to throw up. That is fucking incredible. Sorry, continue.
No, we got it, guys. This is a simple game. One versus the other. Go ahead and fight your case. We should give the people what they want to hear. So why is Empire going to win?
Oh, come on.
I don't know if it is.
Yeah, come on. I'm going to buzz you just because why not? Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, how do we want to do this? Listeners, you're feeling this out for the first time. Should we go around and kind of say what we think about each movie? And
Because I don't want to say bad shit about this, although I will if I have to. But I mean, come on. We got Raiders of the Lost Ark, man. I got a fucking magazine. I got this for Christmas.
Well, let's go in order. Let's talk about Empire first, just because. Dave, you should probably start because you were there. You were like 35 years old. You were.
You can go fuck yourself too if you like. We're starting bitchy, huh?
I think everybody, Dave was alive, but he was a kid, of course. But anyone who's a huge Star Wars fans, like, of course, we're big fans as well. You read about what was happening contextually. Jeff gave us a little bit behind the scenes with background, but this was one of the very first times that a franchise like this that wasn't based on existing IP, because they had tried superhero movies before. They had tried some adaptations from very famous novels in the sci-fi horror space in the 50s and 60s, but Star Wars was exactly what you think it was. It came out of absolutely nowhere. It's original work. It had that Buck Rogers kind of feel. So the first one took the world by storm. So
it was way less campy than Buck Rogers.
I mean, oh, come on. Have the stakes ever been higher though for a sequel? I don't know. Yeah, this is kind of the first uncharted territory.
They're like, we're gonna make it like multi-episodic, and like he starts at 4 and then 5. And I'll tell you what. One thing I will say is all this rhetoric about Empire is the best movie. Not when you're a kid.
I felt that way too when I was a
kid watching Empire for the first time. You're like, where's all the action? Where's all the fun stuff? This is dramatic. This is heavy.
You love the opening, though. The opening was fun as a kid. Hoth was fun as a kid.
Not really. It's got a big fucking... I was like 8 years old.
I thought it was bold as fuck. And I was like, we're in the snow. We got these snow binoculars, these night vision goggles. We got a Yeti.
I was more interested in the AT-ATs later when they turned up. But
the adults? What'd you say?
The AT-ATs.
Dave, you're so...
AT-AT.
Oh,
Dave, you're so right, dude. I'm so glad you brought that up. I remember when I was a child thinking, Jeff, I don't know about you, but I sat down like officially with my parents when we bought like the box set of the re-release versions. And
I like Jedi better as a 6-year-old
7 or 8. I thought this was the adult movie. I thought this was for the adults. Like I didn't
understand the ending. I couldn't believe it ended when it did. I was like, what?
I mean, I understood the ending, and they had me by the ending, even as an 8-year-old. But then it was like, am I allowed to, is it spoilers to say they chop his hand off? I think we're safe with spoilers, right? Like when they started
if you
chopping...
get spoiled by this, then you should, fuck you. Dude, you should be listening to this podcast.
But like when they got to that, and it's like, you just chop fucking Luke's hand off. It's like, you've ruined my hero. Like that's how I took it as a kid. Like I didn't get the nuances behind it about how he was going to slowly become what Vader was and that sort of thing. As a kid, I didn't get it. So I didn't like that movie.
All right, so... knowing me, you guys know me, I loved that sequence. I thought everything in the middle and all the conversation, Cloud City, I really enjoyed the final emotional, I'm your father, he chops Luke down. I feel like even then I was like trying to understand what storytelling was, and I was like, oh my god, of course we don't know how Luke is going to get out of this.
Have you heard the story behind this?
Idea.
Have you heard Mark Hamill tell the story behind that? When they originally
how he didn't know.
No, he knew. Mark Hamill knew because he had to react to it. But no, when they first did it, with everyone on set, they said Obi-Wan killed your father, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to tell you something, and we're going to do this after everyone left." They shot it without them, and he had to react to "I'm your father," and he had to keep that secret for a fucking year. While they're in post-production.
They found out at the premiere, right?
Apparently, everybody found out at the premiere. Yeah, they couldn't tell Carrie, apparently, because she was the public address system of the set. And if you want anyone to know anything, tell Carrie and say, keep it to yourself.
Apparently. She apparently, during this movie, lost a lot of weight and had allergic reactions. She got down to 85 pounds. And
that's not
apparently
healthy.
Apparently had some shit going on. They filmed it in London.
Pounds.
They filmed it in England,
Yeah. But Harrison Ford took exception with him at the premiere, and he does a wonderful impression. Look up that clip on YouTube if you want. But yeah, I just think like this was so dark, and for something that had space action, and you had the heroes, and sure there was a bit of sacrifice, so you had to have your like whiff of death. Like I get that now as an adult. I got it in Star Wars when they did it. I was sad, but we moved on, and I felt like that was a little more temperate. This one just went down a fucking dark path. Like 8-year-old me still doesn't know what the fuck happened inside that cave and did not enjoy it at all. So
all right, well, but to switch gears, all the reasons you're talking about that a child might not respond to them, that's why critically, and why I think as adults everybody looks I think justifiably so at Empire as one of the more mature, expressions of that world. You took the characters again, and I don't think we can give enough weight to this. This was one of the first times that we had seen this kind of quest trilogy expressed at that level of production ever. So obviously I wasn't there at the time, but so I do think they were, in a way, they were kind of writing their own rules too. Like, what is the massive movie trilogy going to do? Yeah. I think they still understood what
George did that a lot, man. George wrote his own rules a lot.
So we have to, you have to kind of put that in context when you're talking about these movies. But the idea
that he would direct this.
Sorry?
He didn't direct this, that he was like, okay, I'm going to be around for everything, but I'm not going to be in charge of any one thing. Is pretty brilliant.
Lawrence Kasdan wrote this, produced it.
But it was largely thanks to a Philip Kaufman. Oh, no, never mind. Sorry, never mind. That's
Philip Kaufman produced. Yeah, that I was going to say he produced Raiders, right?
Yeah.
So
Jeff's skipping ahead.
Fuck.
But who directed this?
Lee
one?
Brackett also co-wrote this. This is directed by Irvin Kershner. Lee Brackett also co-wrote this.
Yeah, and I've heard. I think anyone who's seen all these documentaries, I've heard Irvin Kershner describe this as when he was talking about when he was approached about possibly directing this, and he said, I kind of looked at this middle passage as he's a huge fan of classical music, so he kind of equated Empire to the Largo, the Adagio in the middle of the symphony, movement 3 and 4, if you will, or one of those movements. And as much as I agree with you, Dave, from the kids' perspective, which, don't get me wrong, Star Wars is supposed to be family, accessible to all family members. But this was one of those movies that I had that very special feeling with as I was growing up, where I kind of got to grow with the movie to understand why people who were adults seemed to gravitate to it objectively as the best Star Wars movie. And I don't know. I just feel like there's a patience in the pacing. There is they put so much weight on the relationships in this movie, because even though there's an enormous amount of plot that is happening, it's not, the sequencing of this film is not quite as success or failure driven. That's going to be like, do we blow this thing up or not? No, it's more about, can we get information from this person? Can we infiltrate this area? Are we going to be able to subvert, this person's manipulation?
That's because he doesn't find out he snogged his sister until the next one.
Okay, they made some mistakes, Dave. They made some mistakes.
Sure.
Ignorance is bliss.
But honestly, I feel like it was much more.
Not when you're snogging your sister, it's not.
I want to point this out because other people, I feel like, have since post. Fuck you, dude.
That's fine.
Post Andor. I think a lot of people have said the sentence to me, "This is the best Star Wars material since Empire Strikes Back." And I think we all know what they mean when they say that. That's a fair comparison. It's for adult. It's for an older mindset. And I would
throw Rogue One in there as well. But anyway, yeah.
I would too, which is also his material. The reason I think that exists is because it feels more like, if you actually realistically put yourselves as a resistance fighter into the gigantic galactic zeitgeist at the time period of Empire Strikes Back, that's why it feels real. You would be trying to use friends like Lando Calrissian to navigate into a safe space. Those friends might turn on you just so they don't get fucking murdered, because everybody has their back against a wall. It wasn't just, can we get that information? Can we drive our ships and explode that thing? It was much more intrigue. And I just feel like that's why it still feels suspenseful to me. It still feels like it.
I'm just also, like, from a perspective, like, as on a rewatch, yes, I agree 100%. As an adult now watching that, it is a well-crafted piece of film. But when you put it up against, for instance, Raiders, that I watched then and I watch now, and I still have exactly the same response to.
Yeah,
I don't, but we'll get to that in a second. So let me interject myself into this conversation. 2 things to remember about Empire. Number 1, this is where we met
Jeff,
Yoda.
do you want to say something? Jeff, what were you saying?
This happened last time too, right?
Just because I wasn't in Fast X. Just because I wasn't. I didn't see Fast X.
Jeff, we can't hear you. We see your lips moving, but your buzzer works.
Fuck you, John. I'm sabotaging the show. I'm just sabotaging it. Okay, hold on a second. Some things to remember. This movie is so iconic that you actually don't remember, or at least maybe like if you weren't really paying attention, the Imperial March wasn't in the first Star Wars. It actually came in this one, and it was so iconically brilliant in addition to the John Williams score from the first film that you almost thought it was there the whole time. So the Imperial March was introduced into this. Yoda was introduced into this. I had a teacher today literally talking about Yoda today as a reference, because it was like Yoda did not like Luke. He just needed to treat him like an asshole as an experiment, as a test to make sure he can push him. And they were talking about like arts education and stuff.
And then you get to Jedi where Yoda just got so sick of listening to the little bitch, he just dies.
He just died. Yeah, that's true. 100% true. 100% true. So if you want to look in the great context, there's two things that Empire did that were a disservice to the franchise. Number one is it didn't build the intergalactic war at all. So you didn't meet these other factions that could have helped in Jedi. So when you're gonna hear what I'm gonna say about Jedi soon, but it kept the scope very simple and intimate. And I think Rian Johnson really wanted it to be this one simple little story, this little, like we got this little thing that we got to do. Jump
forward
here.
About 30 years?
No, but it was the same idea in the sense that it was the middle movie. So let's just find the point, because the Yoda Luke conversations, especially when Yoda's like, your training's not done, you have to do what's in your gut. And Luke's like, well, what's in my gut is to leave my training and go to help my friends. And that conundrum is sort of like the conceit of this film. That's like the thesis. It's like, what's the point of the Jedi if not to help people in need? And like, this, it's like, there's so much that comes up in that conversation. I think
a giant hypocrite later when you get to like the later seasons.
Yeah, 100% true. But I think I would say Rian Johnson with 2 tried to do well, this is 24 hours. This is the shit that's happening. And this is where we talk about what the Jedi are. The Jedi is a religion. And they like they signed off on that. And he was like, it's just a religion, right? Like, it's just
it certainly is in Australia. No, we did it. Everyone filled in Jedi on their census, and it's now recognized religion in Australia.
So
anyway, you guys called it the Jedi. The fucking Jedi.
Yeah. Look, I'll say this.
Gonna have a Jedi tinny.
My Jedi tinny.
One of the best presents when I opened my Christmas presents 2019, and my brother had gotten my whole family tickets to see Empire Strikes Back with a live orchestra. I was like, I got mad at my brother because it was such a good gift. I was like, this motherfucker nailed it. God damn it.
Yeah, that's a good gift.
So we saw it, I believe it was January 2020. What a time to be alive. And it's actually hilarious because you think that the opening is going to be the Star Wars da 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 da, and it's actually the 20th Century Fox theme, as I've talked about on the show. So all of these people at the fucking NJ Pack, like thousands of people, we're getting ready. We're so fucking hype. And then the first thing you hear is just a snare drum. Dun, 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 dun. And everybody laughs because we thought it was going to be the Star Wars thing. And like mid-laugh, it says, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a bunch of English colonizers with Boston accents took over the galaxy, and then, whatever. But it's like, this movie is...
That was a good gag.
So anyway, this movie is so fucking good. I will say, but I will level though and say it was too good because it was an isolated movie. And yes, it answered a lot of questions that can be expanded out, but it did not set its franchise up for success moving forward. I'm so sorry to say. But this is the quintessential, what is the point? They answered that question. They did it in a way that was great, that had a good story and a good plot. The characters got to develop. We found more about them. And it's almost hard to imagine them without the things that happened in this movie. So therefore, this is the greatest sequel of all time, maybe, except for Godfather 2.
Do we even need to move on to Raiders?
Yeah, let's move on to Raiders, because that's perfect. That is the gauntlet. He just threw it down. I mean, we all know it. That's the best context possible. 1 year later, George Lucas hires his friend Steven Spielberg, fresh off a movie we have reviewed before, 1941, which didn't do super well.
We hired him after that.
Honestly, like a rescue attempt, but not that Steven really needed it. But what a fun team up! What a fun way to say, "Hey, do you want to come make this with me?" Hired him to direct. As you're right, Jeff, Philip Kaufman, who made The Right Stuff and was a famous producer, he got behind it as well. They tried to sell this. I heard on a podcast yesterday.
And Lawrence Kasdan
listen to this fucking
script
package. Lawrence Kasdan, who already, the success was there, folks. What I'm about to say. Listen to this package. George Lucas producing, Lawrence Kasdan screenwriter, Steven Spielberg directing, Philip Kaufman producing. They sold it. They took it to every single studio, and they all said no. They all said no, except for who released this? I have it right here. Paramount. Paramount, the oldest studio in the fucking town, said yes to it, and they are now no strangers to the giant blockbusters. But Universal, Fox, like everybody famously passed on Star Wars until Fox said yes, which was strange to everybody at the time. So anyway, Paramount would choose to make this movie. Dave, you tell me, but I feel like everybody probably knew this is going to be fun. We had not seen Harrison Ford really explode into another movie since he was establishing himself in the Star Wars films, right? Mm-hmm. So some people thought it was kind of a risk to do that, but Spielberg and Lucas
they tested Burt Reynolds. There is a screen test of Burt Reynolds that you can find online.
He was
not it. He was not it.
To be honest, it is a bit of a similar character. Just take the spaceship out. But
it's funny. He had charisma, but it seemed like he didn't have the adventure. It just seemed like he wanted to like fuck the gauntlet, the prizes and the women, and then move on. But like Harrison had the adventure.
You talking about Burt Reynolds together?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I was just, you didn't clarify.
We all think. All right, so fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark comes out in June of 1981, June 12th. This movie takes the world by fucking storm. Yes. Let's point out just very quickly the differences. I think I've brought this up before, but the difference between a quest story and an adventure story. So with quest stories like Star Wars, although it has adventure elements, but I guess we would call it a quest story. With quests, your protagonists especially, but generally speaking, your lead characters go through these arduous circumstances and come out different at the end of it. Versus an adventure story, Indiana Jones is the same at the beginning as he is at the end. He is still Indiana fucking Jones, and you can count he's going to keep doing this over and over and over and over again.
There is a valid argument that states that Indiana Jones actually affected none of the events in this movie. Because everything that was going to happen still happened.
He's the Forrest Gump of this movie.
Did nothing except walk through and cause some destruction. Like, he didn't affect any of it.
But all right. So what I want to talk about, though, let's assume everybody's seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, and
yes,
I'm going to have fun pointing out some funny things too. But I think what Spielberg did more than anything else for me with that movie, because he had not had to do this before. Spielberg very infamously didn't really make sequels of his stuff. He turned down Jaws. He didn't make a sequel at all until he started DreamWorks, and they were like, "You got to fucking make another Jurassic Park, dude. We need a movie." And he like finally said like, "Okay, fine." But like he never ever wanted to make sequels of his stuff. So as much as it's funny, as much as we think of him as the king that makes these massive IP, properties that could go on for years and years, he never had any interest in retelling them. So what I love the most about Raiders of the Lost Ark is that he found a way to mythologize a character in almost every single scene of this movie. There is some shot or some action of Indiana Jones that was merchandisable. Whether it was a shadow on the wall or
it was
just
instantly recognizable. Yes.
I mean, instantly recognizable.
He was creating indie memes before memes were a thing.
It really is true. Like I can't say it enough. Like, and then when you get to, of course, the set pieces, the action sequences, everybody has talked about these things for years. You can just turn the sound off and watch the escape scene where he gets the truck. I mean, that is a fucking lesson in action sequencing. There is humor, there's heart, but ultimately, they both very comfortably told the world, we don't expect much from you, audience. Just come and have fun and eat your popcorn. We're not going to scare you to death. We're not going to ask you to get too emotional. We just want to show you a good fucking time. And this might be, at that point in history, this might be the best adventure movie that had ever been made at that point.
Probably.
Is that safe to say?
That's safe to say. Yeah. I mean, they used to do real, like the real ones before like movies. It was like an adventure reel. You get like, did they make the Alan Quatermains back then? The Rocketeer, stuff like things like that. This was in the same vein as that, but it was a feature. Like it was a featured presentation, and it had all the benefits that come with that. And this was a movie that just hit real hard.
I need to make a clarification. Burt Reynolds apparently turned down the opportunity to do this. What I'm thinking of is Tom Selleck. Easily confused, but Tom Selleck actually screen tested for Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
In the Hat. He actually did it. And then as soon as I said it out loud, I was like, God, those two motherfuckers with the mustaches, that confused them up. I should say that. Guys, I do like this movie. I will say in hindsight, and I said this in the 1941 episode, I do feel like Steven Spielberg, even at an early age, the humor just didn't, you know what it is? It's who somebody said this, comedy is always written for the time that it comes out. All movies are all art is made for the time it comes out in, and we decide what deserves legacy. Like the fucking Mona Lisa, like, is not that special of an artist without the history. Like, you look at it, it's brilliant and it's amazing, but there's a lot of like great things that you just fucking walk past in a museum that, you know. But anyway, when it comes to like good art, it's hard to give it that legacy status, and this thing has it. It does. This is so quintessentially 1981. The thing that's tricky for me, the only thing that's holding it back for me, is that they do like group scenes where everybody just, you could tell they were directed to just put their arms in the air. And so there's like crowd scenes that are like, hey, and everybody has their arms in the air. And it just seems like a grandpa was directing the scene and made it too simple. It lacks some specificity to me, because other than that, it is such an incredible adventure movie. The lighting is brilliant, and I don't mean to just be, I don't mean to be flippant about that, but like when you're moving around and you're on sets and they're on location, they're literally out there. That's Indy got sick because he was out. He ate. Harrison Ford ate the famous sword scene.
Yep.
With the gun. I think we've all heard that anecdote before. There was supposed to be a huge sword fighting scene, and Harrison Ford got like food poisoning because they were in a country they'd never been to before, and he ate the cuisine, and it didn't sit well with his stomach, because who knows how they prepared it, but it's not a way that he, you know. So he's literally was like, I need an hour. If you want me to work tomorrow, I need to go to bed now, and I need to pass this. And so you have an hour, like, and then and apparently they both kind of said at the same time, like, well, why doesn't he just shoot him? And they did it, and they said, well, you got to shoot him and then turn around and like look as if there's more to do. So they just to fill it out, and it happened to work. But like, so I don't mean to be flippant about the lighting, but like the fact that they're moving, and Spielberg is famous. It's funny when you watch Spielberg movies and you think they're Scorsese movies where everything is pre-planned and whatever. And he very famously gets on sets and stages and re-choreographs and redoes everything. The fact that it looks as good as it does, knowing that the crew was probably like, they were like, what the fuck do they want to do? What do they want me to do? The fact that it looks and feels the way it does is just like, it really is one of the great adventure movies of all time.
I mean, there is one scene
like
with
a couple
that,
grandpa scenes in it for me.
They had to shoot after one of the actors had finished, I think, and he'd left. So they literally got his hat and a jacket and stuck it on a broom in the car. If you look closely in the car when it's driving off, it's just a jacket and a hat on a fucking stick. The guy's not there. Yeah.
When is this in the movie?
It's, I'm trying to think when. I think it's in the just after the airport, Nazi. I think the Nazi airport. So but there is basically that, which fucking terrified me as a kid, I might say. Like, death by propeller is no way to go, no matter what age you are.
Even if you're fucking enormous, even an enormous scary Nazi guy. A lot of Nazis in this movie.
1941 touches on it. World War II, but let's push that aside because it wasn't super successful. This was the beginning, the first time Steven had done his infamous like revenge on the Nazis, like all these these movies he's made throughout the years that seem to be commenting so strongly on that time period that he has such an affection for and such a respect for the World War II era. So I mean, even that also on its own, like just setting it in that time, like come on. It's immediately compelling to think that this is happening behind the scenes. The backdrop is fucking World War II and the rise of the Reich. There's a few funny moments I wanted to point out that are just kind of show you that there's a campiness to this film that I think was it seen that way when it first came out? I'm not sure.
Almost every scene from this film has been parodied at some point.
Guys, Karen Allen out drinks somebody, and then afterwards has the most normal conversation that's ever been had, even though we just watched her do 18 whiskey shots. And then she's like, hey, Andy, how's it going? And it's like, I'm sorry, you're drunk.
Yeah, she's obviously Australian.
Did you forget you're drunk? Yeah. Dave.
There are certain oh, this is a movie, the way we're doing, like the cheesiness, the campiness, the mythologizing I was talking about.
Jesus,
Sorry,
Jeff.
sorry. As for Dave,
Jeff literally just took 10 seconds to find the button and then hit the wrong
He
fucking
did,
one.
yeah.
Like,
I'm trying
We've had too much to
to
drink.
I'm trying to make John's life as difficult as possible.
You're doing it. Okay. When he is, when the museum head comes to his house and he says, you know, they do it. They're gonna provide the funding, and where the museum's gonna get it afterwards. He's like, great, let me pack. And the only thing he puts inside the suitcase are the hat, the jacket, and the whip.
Yeah.
Like things like that are just like you can't get away with it nowadays.
That's iconic. It's I will say, like,
there's another.
Okay, one more, and then we have to wrap this up.
All right.
The fact that nobody hits him. The fact that nobody hits him as he's going into the
fact
plane.
nobody hits. There were two other things. When he can't find her in the basket scene, and the American comes in and knocks over every single person's basket. It's just on the ground.
Yeah.
I thought that was just fucking hilarious. And then my last little funny quip. When he's telling her to run to safety in that fight scene in the square, and he grabs her and he just throws her to the ground.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah.
just noticed it. I mean, he fucking heaves her to the ground. I don't think that was blocked. He's like, get out of here. And she just rolls. There are so many things in this movie that basically are super, super, super unrealistic. And I'm not even talking about in the sense of the world of Indiana Jones. Just we're in a movie. This is very much a movie.
This is a movie, yeah.
Presentation of an archaeologist, James Bond.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, the pitch to Steven Spielberg by George Lucas.
I mean,
Steven Spielberg said, I want to make a George Bond.
James Bond, yeah.
I may have
said no.
Lucas was like, I'll do you one better. Let's make James Bond, but he's an archaeologist, and I've been wanting to do this for years.
I must say, like, I was going to lead towards Indiana Jones, but one thing that keeps coming into my mind as we're talking about this is after Star Wars and after Empire, like, I had lightsabers. I didn't pick up a whip till I was 35. And I fucked myself up, put it right back down again. Do not pick up a whip and think you can use it.
Who told you to put it down? Was it a lady?
Yes.
All right.
Be gentle, David.
Fantastic cast. John Rhys-Davies, who you'll see as Gimli in Lord of the Rings, is in this movie. Of course, Alfredo Molina as Satipo at the very beginning there, and then Ronald Lacey as Tots.
So
Nazi.
what is advancing?
Should we vote at the end?
No, we have to do it now before we move on to the next bracket.
All right.
Let's vote now. I'm going substance over campiness. I'm going Empire Strikes Back. I think it's just a more substantive film. I think over time, I think John Say would have liked it more then, but I think definitely over time, I think Empire is a stronger film.
Dave?
I have changed my vote from Raiders to Empire.
Wow. I thought I swore you were going to do it. Now, I will say, I think there's a rite of passage of all kids, because I kind of remember being like, wait, how did none of them throw a spear in this motherfucker as he was running away? They were all throwing spears. And I remember like parents being like, because it's a movie, shut the fuck up and watch it. You know what I mean?
Movie,
I'm paraphrasing my parents, but it's like, there is all of the reasons that it's not advancing are reasons that make it lovable. You know, it's like, it's a shame that the comedy didn't age well, but it's Empire. It's Empire.
Look, if Empire Strikes Back had not come out that year, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, come on, it's okay to lose to Empire Strikes Back.
Whatever it was would have creamed that if it wasn't Empire.
Yeah.
All right. We have one check in the bank.
Shut the fuck up, Jeff.
That means that we have one movie added to I have to come up with a better sound effect.
What, dude?
Guys,
This is our first week of this. We'll get
I gotta pee.
Come on.
Are you kidding me? Come on, we just
I'll
talked
do
for
the
like
setup.
And we're putting a cut. And we're back.
And we're back.
We haven't done that in a
All
while.
right. Empire has beat Raiders. What a life we live.
Yep.
We are now going to do 1982 versus 1983. Only one can advance. So let me go ahead and delete my other things.
Okay, so looking at E.T. versus Return of the Jedi.
So other things that have come out in the year 1982. Tootsie came out in 1982. Officer and a Gentleman. Rocky 3 That's right. Mr. T came out in 1983. United Artists
T did
film
not come
there. We
out.
love that.
Not there's anything wrong with that.
I've got Porky's. I've got Star Trek 2. I've got fucking Annie.
How
Best
the
Little Whorehouse in
fuck-
Texas.
Because Star Trek 2 is considered the best Star Trek film ever. They're wrong.
Wrath of Khan.
But it's
Wrath of
considered.
Khan. Yeah.
That's how
but
small Dave. That's how small, right? The group.
the Trekkies
is, dude.
were
Like,
back
it's
then,
just-
yeah.
Yeah, it just hasn't really.
Now
I still think that's
they're
probably
huger now. They're like, it's huge now.
They would only pay
Yeah.
$2 a ticket, not the full $5 it costs to go see
Guys,
Star Trek.
Blade Runner came out in 1982.
And
Everybody
according to
hated Blade Runner when it came out.
Wikipedia, it was not on the highest top grossing movies. It wasn't even in the top 10. Although I imagine internationally, worldwide, this is not including re-releases, because in the re-releases, E.T. fucking smoked everybody. Yeah, E.T. fucking
It's gonna
smoked
be
everybody.
Jill
With
Layton sitting there like,
re-releases.
phone home.
That's right. Yeah, you're talking about drive-through movies and just like anniversary specials and such. Like $359 million is probably an understatement on all metrics.
I have 321 million.
Again, these
almost
numbers are
322.
These numbers are all off. Like I don't know what to tell you. What do you want from? What do you want?
Ticket sales. You ready
Ticket
for this?
sales, yeah.
109,468. 951, almost
So they-
110
million tickets.
sold. Are
So they
you
average
fucking
$3 a
kidding, dude.
That's $3 a ticket.
That's ET?
That's ET, dude.
Fucking
That's-
hell.
That's $3. That means, you know what that means? That means a lot of people went to like drive-ins where you like pay per car or something. Like, what the fuck is this? $359 million on $110 million ticket, 10 million tickets. In 1982, it's $3 a ticket. You gotta come on.
Guys,
You gotta pay people.
I put in the $17.99. I think that's the average cost in like in a lot of places for like a
Yeah.
movie these days. It would have been a $2 billion movie.
Yeah,
If
of
it is-
course it would.
Right?
So it's everybody's like, E.T.'s the best movie of the time. It's like, well, Endgame is the highest grossing. Well, Avatar. No, guys,
Yeah.
come on. This
Yeah.
is not even fucking close. And honestly, E.T. got smoked by these other movies we've already talked about. Raiders of the Lost Ark smoked this, and fucking Empire fucking smoked this. Anyway, E.T. is a fantastic fucking movie. It almost won Best Picture, and the rumor is that Steven Spielberg lost the Best Director Oscar to Richard Attenborough for fucking Gandhi. Richard Attenborough shook his hand and said, "You got robbed."
Wow. I hope that story's true.
I've heard that story.
It is true. It is true. He's
Yeah,
right.
right.
It's easy for Richard Attenborough to say because he's
He's holding a fucking Oscar while he says it. It's like, let me hold my Oscar and shake your hand with this one. It's like,
Yeah. It's a shame,
Alright.
Steven. Better luck next time. You
Yeah.
fucking-
So that's 1982. This is 1983. We know what
yeah, it's
happened.
like, sorry,
people.
kid, and he gives him his hat. You know,
1983. He's a maniac. Flashdance.
Flashdance
Tootsie.
made $92 million, which is good. Terms of Endearment came out later. It didn't come out in the summer. Trading Places.
Staying Alive.
Trading Places.
Places.
Guys,
trading places.
Guys, we live in the world. We live in the world of AI. War games. War games. Where
War
Matthew
Games
Broderick on a
is
video
so
game.
fucking good. Everybody watch War Games.
100%. Guys, I'm gonna say right
business.
now, risky business. Guys, I'm gonna say right now, War Games, best Matthew Broderick movie.
Yeah.
I love Ferris Bueller, but God, War Games is
Wow.
good.
No,
It's,
you know what?
it's,
I would go the other way, but sure.
Octopussy, Sudden Impact, Staying Alive, of course. Mr. Mom. Staying
some,
Alive was a little bit of a flop for John, but I'm glad he got paid.
Come on, yeah, that's a great movie. Some award movies from that year: Gandhi, The Big Chill, Terms of Endearment,
Big Show's good.
The Outsiders, Sophie's Choice, big year, folks. Scarface. Are you kidding me? But sitting up very, 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 very comfortably, like not even close in the same galaxy, if you will, as any of these other movies. 1983, The Pick, Return of the Jedi. I mean, not even
Yeah.
fucking close.
Yeah.
So I got my numbers on the numbers are basically 250 million. What are your numbers?
For Jedi,
Jedi.
309.
Okay, but my ticket sales, remember folks, ET, almost 110 million. Jedi only sold 79 million. It's just a little over 79 million tickets.
So fewer,
Not even
yeah.
in
Wow.
the same fucking world. That's
I mean,
crazy.
Yeah.
which is really funny because when you think about that, like, what are all these fucking internet douches carried on about then? It's like,
With-
obviously they didn't go see the movie when it was out.
With re-releases, Jedi got up to 475. which is not great. So Empire definitely
Sure.
did better than it with the re-releases, but also Jedi did better than E.T. So $500 million with re-releases is pretty damn good for back then. And you know what? If they wanted to do The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King, if they wanted to just redo it with fucking Legos, it would make more money. Like, I don't know, whatever, you know?
Does
This is the
anybody
world we
know
live
if
in.
does anybody know, because Spielberg already had Amblin as his production company, right? But what was his logo before E.T.? Until they did the moon.
Like,
with the
like
kid
what?
riding across.
Who was Adam Sandler before Happy
was
Madison?
it a truck hood?
Because of Duel? I wonder. Yeah, I wonder what the Amblin logo was before E.T.
I mean, did he even have
Looking it up.
Amblin by that point? Because I think
he is.
I think they created Amblin for ET, didn't they?
I mean, he should have done it after Jaws. After Jaws, he had a company, no question. There's no way that he did, right? There's no way that he just like was in. There's no way he was a sole proprietor when he was pitching. All right. Close Encounters. Should we talk about these movies?
Let's start on these movies.
All right, E.T. Let's have some fucking
Gotta
fun.
keep this episode under 2 hours.
No.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did E.T. teach you how to cry? Guys, the ET ride at fucking and Disney World is like the best of all. Like when you go up on the bike, it's like, and you get the picture. I mean, it's just like it doesn't get any better than that.
It was founded in 1984. So you guys are right.
Damn, shit.
Wow.
So what did he do beforehand?
I think he just Universal just made.
Yeah, other
those
people's
United
studios.
right?
Or was he United Artists?
United
was
Artists
he in
made it,
that?
but Universal released it and all of his movies up until that point, and they still let him play there for the next like decade until
Yeah.
he started DreamWorks, and he started making stuff other places. But
All right, what do you think of E.T.?
what do
All
we
right,
think of E.T.?
E.T. Yeah,
David?
what a stupid movie. No, it was great.
Sure. We didn't talk about these earlier, but guys, when was the last time you saw these movies? We didn't do that with 81, but
E.T. I don't know that I've seen since
Pandemic movie.
the 90s.
Whoa, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, dude, oh, you should have rewatched it.
No, fuck that. I refuse to watch the one where they swapped out the walkie-talkies, like the guns for walkie-talkies. Fuck that.
You can still watch the older one.
Yeah, no, you can, but you got to hunt it down, or you need to own it. Like the streaming one is the walkie-talkie shit, and he's since said that was his biggest regret, giving into that.
The Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter has this at a 99.
I mean, it is a fucking awesome movie. This was the like, if there's one thing like Spielberg knows, it's he remembers what it's like to be a kid. He never lost that.
That's true.
It's true right through E.T., the Goonies, all of those things. All of them led to like everything else. Like there's even like a mention of Dungeons and Dragons in fucking E.T. The setup is beautiful. The family dynamics is beautiful. The effects were amazing. I don't know if you know this, but they had it came out on Drew Barrymore's show recently. That she has a talk show in New York now.
I played I played her birthday party one year.
That's cool.
I've been to her apartment in Manhattan.
Good story, Jeff.
Oh God, I could tell stories about people's apartments.
I saw pictures of her with the ET doll giving it to fucking Princess Diana, but sure.
Yeah,
you guys go whatever.
They actually hired someone in particular that was there during the breaks. It was their job to stand there with the controls for ET just in case she walked up to it and talked to it. They were like adamant that she believed it was real.
Which is so fucked up because the scene where he's sick,
he's dying.
He's dying. They like didn't tell her.
No,
it wasn't real. This little kid, that cutaway shot of her where she's just like fucking tears are rolling down her. That's messed up. Man.
Guys, should we talk? Did you guys ever? How many child labor laws did they break? Did you ever see the audition for Elliott when Henry Thomas got it?
Exist then.
But I just sent you guys a text message of the cinematographer Alan Devio. It's really funny.
These days, they just move it to the state where fucking kids can work in a meat packing plant.
Guys, guys, the thing for Elliott, the kid starts.
Look at the
The
picture of
kid.
that DP.
Tell me it doesn't look like
I'm sorry,
Vangelis.
okay, hang
Guys,
on. I'm going to open this.
I've been watching Jeopardy Tournament of Champions, and I got Vangelis, and my friend was like, "How did you know this?" And I was like, "I can't get into how I
Jesus.
know who Vangelis is. I can't get into it."
Did he look like
Guys,
that then or now?
I think a little bit of both for sure. The casting crew,
Santa,
the
fuck me
audition
up.
for Elliott, the kid is crying and talking, and they make him do the audition for like 8 minutes, but he's like fucking weeping. They like clearly like broke him, and they were like, "This is where the audition starts."
It's great though. He's so good in it.
And then at the
When
end, he
I went
goes,
to
"Okay,
college-
kid, you got the
when I
job.
went
You
to
got the
college,
job.
that was
Don't
what the
sue
acting
me."
class was like.
This
Yeah.
movie, this movie might be Steven Spielberg's like most personal film. Like, and I know he said that about.
Yeah, not even
You
his
know, some other
biography is
things
more personal than this.
Yeah, because they try to lock up his imagination.
Yeah.
That's what the government is, and they come down because he got a cease and desist letter essentially when he was doing Close Encounters after Jaws. He's the biggest filmmaker in the world, and they said, "You should stop doing this. You don't know what you're talking about." And he said, "Well, that's the reason that I need to do this is because you are clearly trying to avoid people talking about aliens and what you know." And so he does Close Encounters knowing the government is watching him. So then he does E.T. after 1941, which again, we have to take it past in 1941. But the government is essentially saying, the kids are like, "This is fine. It's like a puppet. He's a friend." And they're like, "Fuck you. We're going to quarantine this house. We're going to put up a cordon, and then we're going to take control, and we don't want you to know anything." Like in the pursuit of Steven Spielberg's life, it actually is, this is brilliant. Like, it is beyond brilliant that after a cease and desist letter from the government, he makes the government the villain. In other countries, you can't do that.
Does the government
Like, it's
realize
brilliant.
if you're making a movie about aliens, they send you a cease and desist, they're pretty much confirming the existence of aliens?
That's what Steven Spielberg said in his documentary. He got that letter and he went, "Yes,
How
I'm nailing it.
stupid
I'm
is
onto
the
it."
government? Like,
But that's what this is. They're going to try to take this
Yeah.
fucking puppet away from these fucking 6-year-olds who are crying.
And they played them as stupid as well, because they were in the movie, absolutely.
You know what? I don't like his feet. That's my favorite line in the movie. I don't like his feet. It's the Drew Barrymore line of it.
She's so cute. She's
And
so
guys,
good.
the cornfield scenes gave me nightmares growing up, just looking out at the cornfield. And Signs, guys, I know Signs is like M. Night Shyamalan's second best movie. Signs is such a fucking ripoff of E.T. It is unbelievable. Just looking out at the cornyard, he basically he just took the fucking shots from E.T. just without any of the setup.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many. I feel like for my generation, this was the most iconic like movie that had ever come out until Jurassic Park.
Oh, Jurassic Park, fuck
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like, until that happened, like, it was just like watching these like proliferated statements by Steven Spielberg throughout the ages. Like, this was such an objectively successful, like, oh, you got to see this kind of thing when you're growing up. I also feel that Steven Spielberg had shown his ability to deal with very, very commercially accessible suspense, horror with Jaws. I think even in Close Encounters, there's more of an adult dramatic obsession to the storytelling. I think for me, E.T. is the first time that he found that absolute perfect balance of magic and wonder and drama. Where it all kind of, and obviously
that's
it's a
right.
child's perspective, so it kind of, it needed to be that, but he really, really, really nailed that space, which makes sense. Like, going back to, it makes sense that he started Amblin after that. It's like, this is my heart center. This is kind of where I work from. This is what I thought about when I was a kid. These are the everyday people, the everyday children struggling with everyday familial issues, getting wrapped up in a much larger story. I mean, that is like, it's almost like watching the birth of the kind of material that he ended up producing, moving forward, this kind of work. And I just feel like that's
but the
that
thing
really
is,
says something.
the funny thing is, like, that's his first one out of the bat as such in that genre, and it's a knockout of the park. Like, it's a fucking home run.
I call Steven Spielberg like a little bit of a grandpa, but Jaws, Close Encounters, we're going to forget 1941, and even all of his TV work. He'd done a lot of movies before then. And then, Raiders, and then this is the first, like, of these kids movies. So, like, the idea that he is it's all bullshit anyway, but, like, the fact that he did that, the fact that is sort of what he became a little bit known for, even Poltergeist, which he should have directed. It was, like, this family friendly, like, it seemed like he was, like, kind of fucky, and then he, of course, produced Back to the Future, and he produced Back to the Future? Like everything in the 80s, it seemed like he had his hand in.
Yeah.
I feel like I was going to say
Well, it was
something
all
else,
those guys just collaborating.
which is that's the best thing, is that he basically open sourced all of the shit he was doing to all of his friends.
Let's talk about really quickly.
But the mom,
This
wait,
is-
really quick. The mom is the most sympathetic figure, though. So even though you have all these kids and it's important, the one thing, because there were so many knockoffs. We grew up in the 90s, John and I.
No
for the
idea
most
what's
part.
going on.
And like Three Ninjas is coming to mind, but like all of these kids movies where the kids like run out, and it's like really hard to be like, but how do we keep them grounded? How do we keep them relevant? Like how do the parents come in and go like, gee, kids, how did you just do this and create all this graffiti and whatever the shit they have to do? And the parents always get fucked here. Steven Spielberg never once did an action and didn't think, wait, what is this single mom gonna do with this? You know?
Yeah.
Like these kids have leeway and they have trauma. And they have leeway because it's a single mom.
It's funny. If
but
you look
that
at the
doesn't
mom
mean that the
figure
mom's off the hook.
If
And
you
the
look at
mom
the mom
can't just be
figure
a
between
comedic
E.T. and the
character.
Goonies, though, it's the same mom.
Because it's fucking brilliant. If what ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't let these kids just run amok because their parents aren't paying attention. Because that's how you get drug dealers and gang members. What you want is the mom that is doing everything, that is trying so hard. You just don't see her in the frame. And then when you see her, it's fucking heartbreaking when they really have to convince the mom, when they really have to make that reckoning. It's fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
What's your favorite sequence in this movie?
Sequence.
Is it the famous chase sequence? I think mine is.
I mean, the chase is iconic.
It's
of
the
course.
mine is the cut back and forth when E.T.'s drunk and watching the old movie,
Oh yeah.
and the kid in the early in the classroom dipping the girl, the wind, the frog, letting the frogs out and stuff. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like
Mine is-
they knew it when they were watching it. When contemporaries were watching this movie in 1982 and saying things to him like, "Oh my God, is it Gandhi or this alien movie?" I mean, what a crazy statement, right? Like, this movie was in the hands of a prodigy.
Yeah.
Like it's so obviously in the hands of an absolute prodigy with every aspect of filmmaking. But Dave, the way they light Elliott's room in these wide shots, the way he lets these things play out with E.T.'s head barely moving behind his desk and Elliott approaching him, these overexposed, clearly lit from the outside on his set, but it just gives you this feeling of isolation in a very specific part of America. Like it feels like a Phoenix or somewhere like that, where it is just overly lit. So in a way, like these kids,
I don't know if the
totally
overexposed was a
exposed.
choice or they were just like stuck with the technology of the day. So
Maybe I bet it was a choice. I don't know. Man.
Yeah.
I feel like he made that choice. But
fair.
there's also like these other. You have the way they light the daytimes, and whether it's in the sun or whether they're actually lighting them themselves, versus that nighttime scene when he meets E.T.
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel like the same place,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. The fog, the mist, the way that the
Yes.
barn is lit, it doesn't make sense at all. But like somehow in his mind, like it just totally worked, and he just proved us all wrong. I also really love that first scene when they're at the kitchen table and he sits back and he plays it all in one, and you kind of get, people are crossing in and crossing out.
The Dungeons and Dragons scene, which Stranger Things ripped off.
Not the Stranger Things scene. That scene is fantastic, but when the boys leave and it's just the mom and she's making dinner for the kids, and he blames her for dad leaving. Like, I mean, just very like patient storytelling for somebody like Steven Spielberg, who you think is all, people give him that rap. Anyway,
Oh, do you want to tell me that didn't resonate with me as a kid, by the way, as well? Yeah, fuck yeah, it did.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because that was right in the middle of my parents' divorce.
Oh my God! Because that's what this is. Steven Spielberg is a child of divorce. This is a divorced child director.
There is a picture. There is a picture of Steven Spielberg with E.T. on his back, and he's holding E.T.'s. Have you guys seen this picture? And he's holding E.T.'s hand, and it is like all of the emotions of the human experience are in Steven Spielberg's eyes. Like, this is one of the most personal films I think he's ever made. He has described his childhood as, I felt like an alien. I felt like I didn't belong. So anyway,
You know what?
let's move on.
Wait. The last thing I want to say is he shoots it low. before you meet ET, but even after you do. So obviously it's not even just that they're kids, it's at grass level. So when that spaceship comes down, you don't look at it from above, you look at it from below.
Yeah.
And so ET comes, you see his figure kind of, you see the flashlights, you assume people are trying to come and get him, and then the spaceship goes away. But you are in the grass. You are the fucking footprint watching this. And then finally you see Elliott at his eye level as he's starting to entice ET in.
That's the one piece of plot I really want to pick up on. Like, it's like, you've mastered interstellar travel, but you can't have someone at the fucking door ticking names off.
Come on. I know.
Yes.
It is, whatever.
I'll do it, Jeff. Don't worry about it.
Last two things I'll say. This was the first time that the world had seen him direct children to this extent. A+.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, absolute fucking magnetic connection between the children, and wonderful performances, wonderful casting, wonderful acting. And the third thing I'll say is, we just talked about we voted it up, Raiders of the Lost Ark. We just talked about a Star Wars. We're about talking about it again. This score specifically I feel like him and his relationship with John Williams got to another level.
Best collaboration in film history. Best collaboration in film history.
But like this ending segment, the 13-minute chase scene into the final thing, like there are so many elements of ET that are scored so differently than very specific mood settings for like Star Wars, that I feel like these are almost like silent movie scoring. The way, so I don't know. I just wanted to point that out as well. That all of John Williams is iconic, but this one behaves differently for me as a score to a film, because so much of ET is mise en scène. Is really just the way that everything is staged, whether there's dialogue or not. There's so many famous sequences where there aren't dialogue driven at all. And I just feel like the score is just like, we can't give it enough. As iconic as Star Wars is, I feel like this one evolved.
I always also say ET led to the most rushed computer game release ever, and it bombed spectacularly.
I always forget there was a game.
Our Atari 2600 ET. It was terrible.
What was the premise of that game? Helping him get home?
You fell in pits and shit. That's all I remember.
What was that even?
You just fell in pits?
Yeah.
All right.
1983. Guys, Return of the Jedi fucking smoked everything else. Like, it did. Smoked it. Terms of endearment, Flashdance, Trading Places, War Games, Octopussy didn't stand a fucking chance.
I still saw War Games, but yeah.
No, and we've all seen these, this didn't stand a chance. So anyway, are you ready? I rewatched this recently, and for our actual followers who listen all the way to the end of the episode, got to hear my take on Return of the Jedi and rewatching it recently, within the past 6 months.
So 3 people have heard that take. So.
What do you guys think of Return of the Jedi? Dave, I know you love this, so let's start with you. Let's get off to a good start.
Okay, fine. Yes, I love this. If this was up against Empire, I would be voting for Jedi, to be honest. Because I saw this. This was what, 82, 81.
We're doing this is 83 now. We've already done 81 and 82.
I don't know. I can't do math.
It's literally
I don't. Well, the years it came out in my country were fucking different.
Dave has to get up so early, so I'm just like making him drink way too much. Okay, but you got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. So this was like the movie I got taken to for my 12th birthday, give or take.
Not Risky Business?
No. Strangely enough, I didn't see Risky Business for another 3 years.
Not Mr. Mom? Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
And it, like, not only was it all me and my friends at this movie, it was the culmination of the trilogy. There were green lightsabers on board.
Jedi colors, huh?
Big fucking fights. Like, I loved this. I thought it was great. It was a formative part of that year of my life.
And I will flip it. And because you said
ruin my childhood. Ruin my childhood. Go on.
I will. This one versus Empire Strikes Back was the one that I was maybe most fond of when I was a child. Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I am probably least fond of.
Yeah, you need you absolutely need a certain level of bitterness to like appreciate Empire.
We've talked this, and I have to jump in just to say I agree. I also should say Melissa Mathison co-wrote the ET script, but when it comes back to Jedi, when I was a kid, no question, Jedi was my favorite Star Wars movie. I love the Ewoks. I wanted an Ewok doll.
Yeah.
I love Jedi as a kid.
You know what? I love the Ewoks. I didn't want the 2 spin-off films.
So, Jeff, I guess I'm going to raise you what you've been saying about that. Anyone who doesn't know, one of the crazy writers in George Lucas's contract when he signed with 20th Century Fox, there were 2 amazing details that he got into his first contract on the first movie, A New Hope. I will get to make sequels. That was in the contract. And I get all of the merchandising. All of it.
All of it, yeah.
So that had never really come into play before, so they just said whatever. But Jeff,
I believe he gave some of that
about...
up to get financing for his later films. But yeah, for the most part, he owns like almost all of it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, Ewoks were straight up merchandising. We know that.
And that's all George Lucas. I think for Empire, he gave us some Empire money because of their
You know why? How I know that? Because I had the fucking action figures.
We all did. Yeah, we all did, dude. My mom, guys, my mom recently sent me, she was like, does anybody want this? It is a vintage. I mean, this thing is perfect. I didn't break any of it. It is that entire Millennium Falcon. Like, it's like 3 feet wide. I got that thing at some point when I was a kid. It's
the one with is it the one with the lights in it that light up?
Yeah, I was like, Mom, don't sell it.
Yeah,
I hold on to it.
I built that.
I have some Beanie Babies that I think I could sell for a lot of money.
I built that thing. I had it.
Anyway, so like you have been saying about Mandalorian recently, this is Jeff saying this. I haven't seen them yet, but there are certain Lucas properties that seem to enable the potential for selling merchandise more than others. And we have now heard him in interviews. We've seen the documentaries where they talk about Jedi, and some people who are working on it were like, what the fuck are these Ewoks? I think Lucas knew the whole time, like, cha-ching, like we are going to make fucking money off of every single thing that happens on Endor. Like anything that happens down there, woo, you know, the little rider, the little glider things. What do they call it? The little motorcycle. What are they called? God damn it.
The speed bikes.
The speeder bikes, the walking things to see
just
them
the sound of it, that
the ATSTs,
so anyway,
the games are great.
Ultimately, for me, Jedi feels like it's pulled into 2 places, and I still enjoy it. I still like these first 3 movies better than any of the recent 3 movies. I'm old school for that regard. But when they get to Endor, it's Endor, right?
Yeah.
When they get there, I feel like the movie turns into 2 different movies. You have some of my favorite aspects of the entire first 3 trilogies, which is where Luke goes. Because the darkness of what happens with his storyline, where he goes to confront Vader, his last chance to visit Yoda with the death of Yoda, everything in the throne room, I feel like that is one movie. That is like the adult version of the film. And I love every aspect of that. I love thematically what's happening. John Williams' music in the throne room is fucking amazing. And nobody can ever hum that music because it's not quite as catchy. But there's all the dark choruses. It's fucking fantastic. The confrontation, the lighting, that classic shot of Luke split in 2. I mean, there's sister will help. All these wonderful, dark, really twisted, elements that get presented are completely juxtaposed by the romp that is happening on Endor with Han Solo and Leia and all the others, where they're like kind of, it's a comedic tone. It's a completely different thing. And clearly they meant to do that on purpose. But I think for me, that is, as I've gotten older, why Jedi is just a sillier film overall because of that. And there's just a part of me that can't take it quite as seriously as I take the first 2.
I have to agree. I mean, I already talked about this on the show, but the fact that most of what they're doing on the moon, which is very important, is essentially opening the connection so that Luke can do what he has to do on the ship. So it really all comes down to that. What we don't get is the intergalactic war that I was trying to set up, which honestly, I think fucked the prequels and it fucked the new movies. Because I think both of them had to reconcile, well, how do we have the war that we've been telling people we would have? And we didn't have in Jedi because we didn't set it up. We knew in Jedi it was going to be Luke, and then now we knew Vader was his dad, and then the Emperor. So we knew it was going to. We knew the 3 of them.
Yeah.
We knew we needed to resolve on that, but we didn't realize that because the stakes of that were so high, we didn't need the Empire to battle the rebels. We just needed that. And so to make that happen, you had the Endor gate needed to be open or whatever they did in that little secret thing. And it was just a bummer that it became this sort of like psychological, like, you should be on the dark side. No, you should be on the light side. And they do have a fight, of course, but it seemed to be this little philosophical difference between the two of them. And I really think this could have benefited from an Endgame level, like battle, you know, not to give Endgame too much credit, but they tried to do that in episode 9 because they were like, fuck. We did 8 of these goddamn movies. We did the prequels. We did the 8, 7, and 8, and we still aren't giving the people the fucking intergalactic. How do we do this? Oh, I got it. She's a Palpatine, and the Emperor never died, and that just fucking created out of literally nothing.
Yeah.
And so
no, didn't work.
So back to Jedi. Even though I completely agree. As a kid, it's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
You want that little battle in Endor. And Endor, fucking man, whatever the fuck, the moon, on the moon, and then you want the conflict between Luke and his dad and the Emperor, and you want that. Ultimately, the stakes don't live up to what they set off to do. They set off for the international battle, and they didn't deliver it, and it bums you out as an adult. That's what I would say.
All right,
the opening's great. We didn't talk about that at all.
Oh yeah,
the opening on where is Tatooine?
Dude, it's on Tatooine. Yeah, the poor fucking Rancor operator. The puppeteer behind that.
I wanted to ask you guys a question. Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys a question because I have genuinely wondered this since I was a child. When did they build the other Death Star? When did they begin building it? And
during Empire.
It was happening during Empire.
That's fuck. And I feel like that was, Jeff, to your point, like that's the kind of thing that unfortunately, like, logically, I needed to them just address how they could have done that so quickly, just so I could stop thinking.
And again, why did they do this? Why did they have the Death Star? At least in 7, 8, 9, they at least pretended like, well, they wanted another Death Star because 8, 9 they just turned a planet into a Death Star. That was in 7 for the most part. At least they did it because they wanted to wipe out all of the rebels or anybody sympathetic to the rebels. In Jedi, they didn't establish that. So we have this other Death Star, and they wanted to kill people, but it was like they didn't really know who was it. Just these fucking bears on this moon?
No, they just held the shield. That was where the shield generator was.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, if you have this Death Star, we need this depth. We need to know. And this is the thing. I think Marvel overplayed their hand.
We got 0.5 of Star Wars.
Marvel overplayed their hand because Marvel said they're going to blow up the planet too soon. And so all of a sudden it was like, okay, for how many movies are people going to try to blow up the planet? Because if it was just Thanos, then at least we knew what we were building towards. I want to build up North America. I want to blow up this place, whatever. In Star Wars, it was like, we need this other Death Star. Why? For something that's going to happen after this. And it's like, no. I need to know. I need you to know that there are 1 million people that are coming and you need to kill them now. And they didn't do that. That's what I think.
How did you guys feel in the new releases in the late 90s? About the ghosts of other Jedis added to the very end.
Oh shit! Okay, yeah, you had to go there.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind seeing them. I enjoyed seeing Qui-Gon, and who else did we see? Was it just Qui-Gon? Was he the only one added?
No, they changed the guy who was originally,
Vader.
No, who was originally Vader. They changed it to. Hayden Christensen.
That's right. Yeah.
That was the big point of contention. At that point, he hadn't earned it. Now he has. I'm 100% behind it now. But yeah.
Jeff, to your point, and I'll shut the fuck up after this. I like everything you're bringing up about how like these bigger picture political issues, and I feel like to Lucas's credit, with the revamps of 1, 2, and 3, when he eventually made them with way too many special effects, he did try to put a lot more a lot more weight and focus and energy toward building up a gigantic political climate. And then eventually the actual application of what that looked like militarily and stuff, leading into the Clone Wars.
He wanted Mad Men to blend into his story, like like the actual like slow pace, like
So he was like Star Wars Ron DeSantis.
Jesus Christ, Jeff, all right, guys. So I know where we're going. Yeah. I'll vote first since I did last time. I'm going Return of the Jedi. I'm kidding. I'm going E.T. E.T. for 1982 versus 1983 all the way. That is a very strong vote for that.
Dave?
You go first.
You know what I'm gonna say, so I'm trying to drag it out.
What are you gonna say?
No, because once I answer, this game is fucking over, Dave. So I'm
He's
trying to be
going E.T.
nice.
for sure, dude. It's E.T.
I didn't say a single negative thing about E.T., and I've only said negative things about Jedi. And Dave, except for I liked it as a kid, and I wanted a teddy bear. And Dave's like, "What are you gonna choose?"
You did say only negative things about
I was,
Jedi.
yeah.
Guys, I'm telling you, I saw this
just dumped
recently, and I
yourself
was
in for a
like,
drink.
"Oh my god, this is so
I said
different."
I love the throne room, dude.
Dude, I'm leaning towards Jedi.
All right, good. I like when we have some, so we don't all line up on one thing. But we're still majority rules here, so we're still going with ET. It's moving forward. Sorry,
Dave, E.T.'s got to move on.
All right, folks. That means
There's still
for the
2 Star
first
Wars
4
movies
years-
left on.
yeah.
Yeah.
That means for 1980 versus 1981, we are going with Empire Strikes Back. 1982, 1983, we are going with E.T. So
E.T..
moving forward, you will hear those titles again once we finish the entire fucking round of
Versus
every
something
decade.
else. Yeah.
And 5 from each decade will move into the next round. So stay tuned.
Along with
Or-
Jaws and Star Wars 1, which have already advanced out
They
of the
have
70s.
an automatic advancement, yes.
To the chagrin of Grease and Alien, they have advanced. And The Omen.
So
I
let
mean,
me-
I mean,
let me
Alien I
preview-
can accept. If it was Aliens, I'd have a point of contention here.
All right.
James Cameron, you're coming
Don't
out.
get James
Let me
in there, yeah.
preview- Let me preview for the next episode. That is 1984, 85, and 86, 87, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
84 is going to be Ghostbusters.
Wait,
versus
that beat Temple of Doom?
It did. You said that when we looked this up, dude. It
Yeah.
beat the shit out of it. Yeah,
Yeah, it
not even
really did.
close. Like
Wow.
twice as much. Yeah.
So
Ghostbusters 1984 versus
Back to the Future.
1985. Back to the motherfucking future.
wow,
And then
that's tough.
the second
That's
one-
I'm going to be
tough.
so
Fuck.
fucking conflicted.
That's so annoying.
It's gonna be
Yes.
fun. 1986. The second round in our next episode will be 1986's Top Gun,
Oh,
year of my birth, versus 1987's way above the rest. Beverly Hills Cop 2. That's right. We have 1987's Beverly Hills Cop 2 versus 1986 Top Gun.
oh my
Uh,
god, that's fucking
so
funny.
stay
I
tuned.
can't wait.
Come at us. Watch those movies. Enjoy yourself. Get your popcorn. Have a little too much to eat this summer. Don't worry about
Yeah.
the bathing suit. Pop some butter popcorn and enjoy yourself.
Thank you so much, film fans. We appreciate it. We always finish with a quick. This has to be quick because this is a long episode.
Yeah.
A
This
quick
has to be
round
quick, you guys.
of what you've been watching. Dave, what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? I watched Pearl finally.
And?
I thought it was okay. I think I liked X better, to be honest.
I liked X a lot. Can't wait to see Pearl. Can't wait to see the
You
next.
haven't
season.
seen it and you buzz me. And I also watched my second attempt at watching Bodies. And I've made it another half hour through. Can somebody please tell me when this gets good?
Oh, David.
John, what have you been watching?
John has been watching. The other night I watched Hitchcock's The Man Who Knew Too Much, the second one with Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly. Fucking, I really love that movie.
Cool.
And I also watched Andrew Dominik's Killing Them Softly. I had never seen
Oh,
that
cool.
before. Do you guys
Yeah.
remember that?
I never
Did you
saw it. But
watch it?
I remember it coming out though.
Much more interesting Andrew Dominik than the trailer made you think. It's not just Brad Pitt playing a hitman in some regular standard crime drama. It's a
Nice.
weird filmmakery kind of movie.
Cool.
And then I finished Better Call Saul, and I have started catching up on Barry. I haven't watched any of that really, so I'm catching up. I only watched the first couple episodes years ago. And then Jeff and I think both have started White House Plumbers. So I'm caught
Yes.
up into episode
It's a
3.
little- It's a little weird, but I like
I forgot
it.
to mention last time, I'm also 3 episodes into Twin Peaks: The Return.
Nice.
I've
Fuck yeah, dude.
no idea what the fuck's going on,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that is
Dave-
how it's
Dave-
supposed to be.
Yeah, push through it, dude.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite ending of all time. Just keep
cool.
going. 18 episodes. you
Okay,
can do
yeah.
it. I also
No, I'm
watched,
on
just to
board.
finish out, just to round out, because I told you I watched some Mission Impossibles. I watched 4, 5, and 6. So I did finish with Fallout. This
Jesus
past time.
Christ.
I'm ready to go.
John, get a
for
job.
Dead Reckoning.
Yeah,
I'm on my summer vacation, dude. I had like a week and a half where I was like, this is when my next obligation begins. I'm just doing nothing. All right. What'd you watch, Tim?
Well, White House Plumbers off to a very strange start, but keep going through. I like the time period, and they're just taking their time. If they just wanted to do Watergate, they would, but they're really building it up, and they're really showing us that a lot of these people love the Nazis, as we've talked about on this podcast. A lot of the people who ended up working in America post World War II actually loved the Nazis in the first place, and were very conflicted about us being the ones who defeated the Nazis, even though they learned a lot of lessons from the Nazis they wanted to implement on the anti-communist post
Say Nazis
World War
again.
II.
Yeah.
No, but that's what this fucking show.
It's a
Fuck
shame
you.
we don't have a punch in the face button.
And I'm watching a lot of TV
So okay to
shows.
punch Nazis, kids.
Last time watching Jeopardy Tournament of Champions. James, you guys, this James is too fucking good. I don't know who's gonna win because that hasn't come out yet, but James is fucking good. Smoked Amy like it was nothing. Amy was good, people. But James is the shit. We'll see if he wins Jeopardy Champions. And Ken Jennings, what a fucking host for this. All right, we can wrap it up there.
Hopefully win okay.
Come, give us shit, people. Let's go. Come after us. Say this
fucking yell at
episode.
us,
Call
dude. We
us.
just fucking-
Call us and tell us what you think.
We just eliminated fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark and Return of the Jedi as as the best blockbusters of all time. I want you to come at us. Yeah, tell us what's wrong with us.
Let's go. See you next time, film
Let's go on
fans.
YouTube.
And fuck all of you. Let's go.